We're live. We're live here on This Is Not a Scottcast, airing from FXBG Public Radio. FXBG Public Radio, bringing you all your podcast needs. The views and opinions brought on this podcast are not representations of FXBG Public Radio. FXBG Public. I get paid every time I say that.
I'm wondering because I'm like, well, you're making me look bad because I don't never say that shit.
EK throws me a nickel every time I say that.
Okay, well, it's nice. He throw me a quarter though.
A quarter, hey! Well, I know. I wish him well that we can go down to. That's why I take my nickels. Mona Brown, my guest today. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good, man. Where are you from? Tell me about yourself.
Woodbridge, Virginia.
Woodbridge, okay.
I'm born and raised in Woodbridge.
Okay,
I was born in Potomac Hospital before it was Centara, or whatever they call it now.
Okay.
I grew up there. In high school, I ended up moving to Southeast D.C. I finished high school in Woodbridge, driving down every day, but I lived both places. And then I moved to Fredericksburg a little later.
Okay.
It's very different down here.
Yeah, it is very different. Yeah. It's a lot more suburban down here.
Yeah. The mindsets are a little different.
Yeah. It's a weird town. It's like a culture clash.
Ooh, that's a really good way of describing it.
Yeah, it is. You have like all the country people, and you have all the...
You got like hipsters, you got hip-hop people. It's like, it's like a little crazy melting pot.
Yeah, it is. It's like truly the melting pot of America. One of them, at least.
I agree.
Yeah. Things got weird here over the summer.
They definitely did.
Yeah. I think that's when I met you. That's when you started doing your podcast here.
Yeah, probably so. Yeah, in the summertime.
What made you want to do your podcast?
Well, I was doing my podcast before I came here.
Okay.
EK just upgraded me a little bit.
He does that.
Yeah. Well, does he really?
I mean, yeah, he did it for me too.
Oh, yeah. I have always had an opinion. I've always talked. I've always debated. I've always had a heart for speaking out about things. I'm an activist as well. That's one of the hats I wear. So people always said, oh, you need to have a TV show. You need to have a radio show or whatever. And I became a huge fan of podcasts. And I really, really, really love Joe Budden podcasts. And then I had the pleasure of meeting him, and he gave advice for people. Yeah.
That's cool.
I know, it is cool. I mean, everybody, Maul, Joe Budden, Rory, and Parks, and took pictures with them and everything, but he sat down and said whoever is interested in doing a podcast, he wanted to talk to us. So he gave some dope advice, whatever, and I was like, that's a sign. I'm supposed to be doing that. And then I just researched it and did it. Okay. And started doing it in my house, on my couch, in my middle floor. And then when I wanted to expand and do different things and learn more things, I met DJ EK from Fredericksburg Public Access Radio at open mic nights, because I'm kind of on the hip-hop scene here, and the rest is history. Because
you manage a hip-hop artist locally, right?
I do, Sin Livin'.
Sin Livin', and she was doing Broadway shows at the Rec Center. Is she doing the Save the Rec show this weekend?
No.
No. You guys are working on
But Save the Rec.
Save the Rec.
Sure.
Definitely Save the Rec. Go down and support that on Saturday.
Yes.
I won't be there. I was supposed to be there, but I'm booked at a show in Richmond.
I unfortunately won't be there either. But I want everybody who can go, please go.
Yeah,
and if you can't go, like me or Scott, then you can donate in different ways. They have cash apps you can donate to. If you go to the Recreation Center in Fredericksburg website. Broadway and Bread Up Rich are also selling I Support Local shirts. So there's multiple ways you can give back.
I got one on underneath, but I look fat in it, so I'm not. I'm not wearing it. I don't want to be ugly on camera.
No.
I'm ugly enough as it is.
Oh, wow. You just open yourself up for fishing for compliments. I know what that is. I'm not going to give you that.
Come on, Mona.
I'm not going to do that.
I like your hair.
Thank you.
You cut hair, don't you? You do hair, right?
I do. I have a salon Irie Hair. And it's in Central Park. Okay. Which is like the little epicenter of Fredericksburg.
Yeah. That's legit. You got a salon in Central Park?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I am a master colorist, so my bag is really hair color. I love to do fashion tones, mermaid, unicorn, when you see girls with all the different colors. Hair cutting, styling. I was a platform artist for some years. I was an educator for some years, so that's kind of my whole previous life.
So if anybody's trying to like produce a movie in town, they need to hit you up so you can be like the hairstylist on set.
Please do. And I'm a movie buff, so
I'll
give you some tips. Oh, I love movies.
Okay.
Movies and music.
What's your favorite? Yeah, I love music. Oh my God. What's your favorite movie?
That's such a hard question.
What are some of your favorite movies?
Some of my favorite movies are The Wood, Love Jones, Cadillac Records, Scarface, Casino, Goodfellas, Godfather Part 2, Donnie Brasco. I could go on and on.
I love gangster flicks too.
Yeah.
You named a lot of gangster flicks.
I love
in
gangster
there.
movies for sure. Bronx Tale. Pretty much anything like that, yeah.
You talk about stuff like that on your podcast, and you talk about a lot of cultural stuff. And
a lot of things to do with black culture and hip-hop. Specifically, I am, first and foremost, a music head, hip-hop head specifically.
Because I've peeked at a couple episodes while you've been doing them. I've heard you in here doing episodes, like talking about, music producers and different artists and stuff like that.
Yeah, I love music. Music is, like, I have, like, this weird ability most times. Like, people will say, what year did an album come out? Especially when it comes to, like, R&B and hip-hop. And I can say it because I remember in my head where I was at in my life. So it's like a soundtrack to my life. You know
Right. That's cool. How come you're not doing a radio show with FXBG Public Radio?
Because I'm doing my podcast and I wear so many hats.
True.
So, okay, I'm going to just tell you.
How expensive are all the hats that you do? You have like a room or like a big closet?
No,
for
I
your
just
hats?
wear them. So, so I have my salon that I run. I run a business. And then I have 2 part-time jobs. Thank you, Corona. Because I have 2 children, two older kids in college. So, you got to do what you got to do.
Okay.
I have the podcast. I manage an artist as well as that. I'm an activist. I'm a poet. So I'm kind of Jamaican without being Jamaican because they have like a lot of jobs or whatever. So I don't want to add anything else because I have a lot of goals for my current hats. Managing the artists, we also have a brand together called A-Up, and we're pushing merch and doing things for that. I have my own manifestation oils coming out called Irie Moon, so I'm launching that. So that's a lot going on. So the radio show, I would love to do, but it would be cool if I could just be like a host and come in. Somebody else do everything, because I don't want to like carry all of that.
Right.
Yeah. You want to host a radio show with me?
Do I want to host a radio show with you?
Yeah.
I'm already hosting my own too, and then I'm like you, I got 17 different hats.
You try to put something on me, but see.
No, you're right though. You got to know when to say no. I was reading something the other day.
I just learned.
Yeah. It's hard sometimes too, especially when you're like, okay, I'm trying to get ahead creatively and in the entertainment industry or whatever. So you're like, any avenue I can take. But no, at a certain point that you do have to say no to certain things. You have to say no.
I've started learning because I used to never say no.
Yep, me too.
Yeah.
It sucks.
It does.
I'm glad you didn't say no to my podcast.
No, I wouldn't say no to you, Scott.
No. I appreciate that, man. So, have you always been outspoken, like in school, were you kind of the, I don't want to say class clown, but the person like challenged the teacher and shit like that?
Yeah, I was put out of class a lot. I would challenge the teacher. I've always been fairly intelligent, and I've always loved to learn. Love. Which is why I'm wearing Tupac, because this man gave me a love for learning. Most people don't know that. But I've always loved to learn. I've always been researching for my own. So even when I was learning things in school, I would go and learn those things outside of school to see if it was true. And most times it wasn't true. So I would come to class and challenge the teacher. Like the teacher would be like, you came from monkeys and they turned into humans and da-da-da-da. And then I'd be like, well, technically, I would put my finger up and they would get irritated and kick me out, and I would be so mad when I was younger. Now I know it was my approach. I was like doing it wrong. But yeah.
It was your attitude, not your content.
I got kicked out all the time and got sent to the principal's office, or if they had a special guest speaker come in, like a senator. I went to Potomac High School in Woodbridge, Virginia, by the way. They'd be like, you need to leave out of here. And they would sit me in like the room with like some special speaker to wake me up, I guess. I don't know. Which is crazy, because children should challenge things and should be able
they should.
You
They should. So do you think your ability to like see through the hypocrisy of things like that is part of what, and your intelligence is part of what led you to be an activist and a podcast host and someone like that in your community?
Definitely.
Because it's kind of the same concept, right? But it's on a more productive level as opposed to just being rebellious. You know what I mean? It's like a rebel in a productive way.
I have this. You either have it or you don't. And other people who do participate in activism or do speak up when it would probably be more convenient not to, they know it. You either have it or you don't. It's like this feeling that you want to correct things in the world. You see what it is. You see that most people just don't acknowledge it, it's easier to be sheep. It really is. And the other people who do know it, they're trying to control it, and you see it, and you want to correct it. It's just something that's in you. That's the only way I mean, it's always been there, though. I was a little girl standing up for people who were being bullied on the bus. I remember that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, you don't do that. And my kids are like that. It's just something in us.
You feel like it's part of your purpose? It's just part of your soul and who you are and why you're here on?
It's all in my chart.
Is it? It's all in your chart?
It is. All of it.
Really?
The music, the activism, the hard working, the ambition. It's all in my chart.
Okay.
For y'all people who don't believe that.
So you're into astrology?
I am.
You study it and stuff, and you've done your own chart?
Yeah. I do two people's charts all the time.
Because I'm not that hip to it. I haven't dove that much into it. You know what I mean?
I love astrology. I love energy. I love anything that comes from natural, nature, earth, those type of things.
You said you were coming out with manifestation oils,
I am.
so you must be like spiritual.
I make oils and charge them under new moons or full moons, depending on what they're for, and attract certain things.
Okay, cool.
They're coming. Irie Moon very soon.
Okay, so are you like into like Egyptian gods and stuff like that?
I'm into original stories, so I do know that, like, if you're talking about gods, like Greek gods were pretty much co-opted, and they were taken from original African gods. I'm into those. You know, Egypt was ancient Kemet. Right. So yeah, but as far as worshiping any, no. Yeah. Okay. But as far as original stories, I am into that. I'm into all of it, actually, but I like to see where the origins of things came from. And then when people went out in the world, they, changed them.
I'm very much like that, too. Like, I grew up in a Christian church, but I've always liked to study other religions and then, like, what came before that religion. The
that actually started me on the journey into Christianity. I used to be a youth leader for many years.
Really?
In a Christian church.
Really? How old are you, if you don't mind me asking? How young are you? You're 31.
I'm 40 years old.
No, you're not.
I sure am.
No way.
I just turned 40 in December. I am.
Damn.
Melanin, I know, but yeah.
Okay. Damn.
I'm only starting recently to not like that question. Like, what age you want to? You want to discuss?
I know it's rude of me to ask a woman.
Nah. It's all good. It's just I'm having a hard time.
I don't want to put you on the hot seat.
It's okay.
You don't look it at all.
Thank you. That's what everybody.
And you're really active for somebody who's 40. You're doing a lot of shit.
And lupus. I am very active for it. Yeah.
You have lupus. I did comedy with a guy in Augusta, Georgia, who had lupus.
Oh, really?
And he has he does like a lot of charity and nonprofit stuff for lupus. He does a lot of comedy shows and benefits.
That's dope. I want you to give me his number. Well, his not number.
Sorry. Yeah. I'll send you his link.
Information. Yeah. Support that.
Lorenzo. Yep. Good guy.
Awesome.
Yeah. Damn, dude. You're out here really fucking doing it.
I have a hustler spirit, period.
Yeah.
Jay-Z quote. But yeah, I do. I don't know how I do it sometimes, but I just do it because I have to do it. It's like one of those things. I think everybody's like that.
Yeah. That's how I'm getting. I can't just sit around.
Yeah.
I spent so many years of my life just sitting around smoking dope and fucking off that now I'm like, man, I gotta be productive. You know what I mean?
I smoke bud while doing it, but I think if I stopped smoking bud, I wonder how fast I could go. I don't know.
How hard you would focus? Yeah, but I wonder how irritable I would be.
That's what I'm saying. You don't.
Yeah.
And I'm a creative. I think at the end of the day, before anything else, I'm a creative. So it helps.
You already do it. Will it affect your creativity? Yeah.
It helps with it. You know.
I feel the same way. I definitely feel the same way.
Do you smoke and then write jokes?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I like writing when I'm tripping.
See, man, I can't do the psychedelics, man. I had one experience a long time ago. Somebody gave me some daggone. No, I guess I had two, because I did acid once and I did mushrooms once. I learned that they are not for me. That is not my thing. No, I don't like to be out of my body. I don't like to not have control. I'm a control freak, so I think it's not for me. Right. And then they said I was really mean, and I don't want that.
No, yeah, it's not for everybody.
So you have done it and seen people walking around and all kinds of crazy shit?
What do you mean walking around?
I know someone who was tripping and playing Super Mario Brothers, and this joint is so hilarious. And he got up and started running and screaming. And they were like, what's going on? What's going on? Once he calmed down, he said the Mario came to the screen and jumped out the screen and started running after him. I can't deal with that. No, man.
Sometimes the visuals get like that and it makes it look like things are leaning out of 2D surfaces.
And then what do? You like pluck it?
I mean, I'm just used to it. I just understand like what's happening. The other night I was.
So you know how to ride the high.
Yeah, I just know how to ride.
Nope,
you know what I mean?
I can't do that with psychedelics. It's not my thing.
It's one of those things you kind of have to step through. You just kind of have to like enjoy the trip, for lack of a better term.
Well, you enjoy.
Thank you. Yeah, I will.
I learned, and I'm glad I learned young.
Right?
You know what I'm saying? I'm glad I didn't try something when I got older and was like, because now, this mind now, I don't know what would happen.
Right.
Like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It could be like a unicorn with butt-naked people on top with rice patties in their hand. I don't know, it'd be something, you know what I'm saying? So
with rice patties in
you never know. My brain is crazy, so.
How long have you been doing hair? Is that something you've been doing since you were young too?
So I was doing hair in high school. I used to do people's hair for prom and stuff like that. But legally, I've been doing hair probably like 15 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got the hustler mentality, so I figured you were in like middle school, high school, you know, trying to braid hair for a couple bucks and shit like that. Hustling since young. Elementary school, I was just telling somebody, me and my sister had our own library. We lived in an apartment complex. And we had a library called Strawberry Library where people could come check out books. And we had like, it was all set up. They would have like a little stamp. I sold Garbage Pail Kids. It's always been there. Nice.
Yeah.
Have you found it hard to hustle the podcast, to like get your podcast out there and market that?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
I found it hard because what I've learned in many different areas of my endeavors is that the people who know you will support you last. Mm-hmm. And you'll get more support from people who don't know you. It's sad, but that's just how it is. And when it comes to like something like trying to make it go viral or get more recognition, you kind of need the people who know you to kind of help promote. Yeah. So it's a slow grind podcast, but I found that out from the beginning, and I'm okay with that. You know what I'm saying? My thing is just keep pushing quality content. But yeah, it's a little slower. You have to almost find that like core group of people, like 5 to 10 people that you really know and are really your close friends, and sit down and talk to them and help them to understand like, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. These are my goals, you know, in this part of my life. Can you help me? Yeah, and it would really help if you could share anytime I post one of these things. And maybe even set up like a group chat to post stuff and say, hey, can you guys share this? Yeah. And it sucks like bugging people. And but I'm very prideful. Yeah. I feel like I support so many people because I just feel like you should. I'm prideful. So me going to somebody and be like, I don't know. It's going to take me a minute to get there. Yeah, no. Yeah. I always tell my friends and people like, Supreme wouldn't be Supreme if his buddies didn't, you know what I mean? That's true. If the person's friends didn't start wearing their shirts. And it's like that for a lot of companies, I believe. That's true. You know what I mean? You got to support each other. And other creators, too. You know what I mean? That's why I wanted to do the podcast with you, because it's important to work with other people and cross-market and cross-promote and shit like that. You know what I mean? So, what's your favorite episode? Where can people find your podcast? You said Spotify, My
iHeartRadio.
podcast is on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, iHeart, Google Play, and I'm working on Tidal. Okay. You can find it by going to any of those platforms. Please like, follow, share, subscribe on all those platforms, and my Instagram. My Instagram for the Dichotomy podcast, I'm really pushing that right now to get those numbers up. Please like and follow on there as well. Yeah, I'll put all that in the link in the description and stuff too. Oh, thank you. Yeah, of course. What's your favorite episode? Of my podcast? Yeah, how many have you done? We're up to, I think, episode 25 now. Okay. My favorite episode was the episode with my artisan living. Okay. Because, that was here, wasn't it? Yeah. We came from a day party and we were already drunk. And it was just really hilarious. A lot of the show is really enjoyable and funny. And because we already have such chemistry and we know each other, it was a very easy show to do. Right. Her and my co-host got wild. I was like, oh my God. But it worked. It's like really good. So that's my favorite one. My second favorite would probably be the Battle of the Sexes episode that I had with another podcast, which is WHL podcast. And two of my homeboys came down, and we had like 2 women versus 2 men, and just all types of, men and women questions, and that was dope.
Nice.
Just crazy shit.
And you really use it to help promote other local artists.
Yes.
Too. I've noticed that.
Not
just the artists that you manage.
Oh, no. She was actually in the back of the line. Like, I've had other artists on. The first artist ever who came on my show was my friend Interstate Snake. He has a pretty big following. He's a musician. He's done songs with like Nipsey, Kevin Gates, all kinds of different people. And he, bless me, we out here personally. He came on my show, I think 3rd episode in. I had a lot of support from people in Woodbridge who I wouldn't have thought would have supported me when I first started.
That always feels good.
Shout out to Brahim, if you're watching this. And shout out to Interstate Snake. I appreciate y'all.
The whole, like, doing stuff and getting your friends to watch it thing it's a weird, because, like, you're not doing it for your friends, but it is nice to have their support. And it's got like that with me for the comedy. You know what I mean? Like, I used to really like my friends to come to the shows, and they used to come out a lot. And they stopped. And I kind of got bummed out about it. But then I realized that that's not who I'm doing comedy for.
That's not who you're doing it for.
Yeah.
That's why I had to, like, come to a realization. That's why I don't, like, press people and be like, if you feel it, you're going to feel it. If not, I'm going to just keep pressing for the fans that don't maybe not know me and they, this content's cool.
Yeah.
Whatever, so.
How do you integrate the activism?
Hey, Monica. Sorry, I have somebody watching.
You're fine.
How do I integrate the activism?
Yeah, into your podcast. I know you had, I think the first one you did here, you had Eddie on.
Yes, it's called This Is America. But if you look at my podcast, I've been doing that before. So many of the people in Fredericksburg, of course, in Fredericksburg this summer, we had a lot of protests that I was involved in, and many other people. A lot of that, for a lot of people here, it was their first time. I've been doing that for many years. I have had an activist spirit for many years. I'm not downing them because I'm glad when anybody gets involved. I'm not saying that. But if you look prior, my very first episode was about the prison industrial complex. I had one of my friends on who unfortunately did get caught up in the system, has a powerful story, realized that he was sentenced outside of normal guidelines and the disparities between sentencing for black males versus the white counterparts. And he was able to teach himself things and got out of jail early. That's my very first episode. And we talked about the prison industrial complex and how it affects the community and, for-profit prisons and all that crazy stuff. Yeah. So it's kind of always been there. Recently on the podcast, I did This Is America episodes, which the first one was with Eddie Banks. I met her the first day we ever had a protest here in Fredericksburg, which was May 31st. And unfortunately, that day, all of us who went were tear gassed. There was rubber bullets, all kinds of stuff. That turned into the Melanin Cooperative and Fredericksburg Free and things like that. So I wanted to have her on there. I definitely support them. And the second one was about allies. So I had my podcast is centered on Black culture and Black people, but I'm not opposed to having people of other colors on, but it has to make sense.
Right.
So I had some of the allies in the activism circle to ask them questions like, what makes you want to be an ally? Because it's very easy for you to act like that doesn't exist. Because a lot of people do. There's great people who don't, and there's a lot of people who do. So that's kind of, and then we have a third one coming up. But we have a series kind of going on just to kind of show what's going on in America, and more specifically here in Fredericksburg, because like you said, we are a little snapshot of America. So
yeah. We do live in a strange area, a really strange area.
Very.
During the first Civil War, I say that like there's already been a second, but during the Civil War, this was they call it the crossroads of the Civil War because we're 50 miles between D.C. and Richmond.
That river, they used to escape through that river. I mean, there's a lot of history here.
Yeah, a lot of dark history, a lot of fucked up history.
They used to sell slaves at Foodie, at the butcher shop,
Yeah, and they're in Town Square and at the slave block over there by the butcher shop that they recently took down over the summer.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, right on. But like I said earlier, it's still, you have a very liberal crowd and a very progressive, population here, but you still have all the country folk around
who are mad that things are changing.
Yeah. And you had them riding through town with their, with their MAGA flags and doing their marches and their shit too.
Oh yeah.
So it's just such a weird clash around here with that.
One thing though that's great about, because there's parts of Fredericksburg that get on my nerves. Don't get it twisted. And a lot of it is the mindset, I see a lot of fugazi behavior. That's what gets. I don't know. I see a lot of fugazi behavior sometimes. But on the other hand, there are some very positive. This is a very creative area.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of talent here. When you do meet people who are good, they are genuinely good. Like they're good, authentic people. It's just a lot of craziness in between, and then like you said, it's like a mixture. So you can go to a bar and you might be like next to a heavy metal dude and a hip hop guy and then an old man with a banjo. It's just like just whatever. So,
it's fun though. It has its little gems.
It's got a little razzle dazzle.
Little razzle dazzle.
A little razzle dazzle.
What makes you stay around here, other than obviously you have your business and stuff? And
my business.
Yeah.
So first I stayed because I was married for many years and I was raising my kids. But now my two oldest are in college. My oldest son he's a senior in college, and my daughter is a sophomore. And then my youngest is in middle school. So now that they're getting older, I'm like, do I want to be in Fredericksburg? So I feel like eventually I might venture somewhere else. I really love New Orleans. My best friend lives there. I visit there a lot. I love it there. Food and music, that's, want to make me happy.
Yeah.
But right now, with my businesses, I kind of need to. If I left Fredericksburg, I would have to start my clientele all over.
Right.
And it takes a while to build that. So it's just something I have to weigh, I definitely don't think I'll retire here.
Yeah.
I want to be warm.
Yeah. I think it's fucking cold here.
Yeah, it gets too cold. And I think it's because I'm getting older. Where you get outside, you're like, shit! Like, as soon as the cold hits you, like when I was young, I didn't say things like that when the cold hit me. So I'm noticing.
I used to walk outside in basketball shorts in the snow.
Like it's nothing. Yeah. Now you're like.
Now I hate it.
When you start just saying random curse words as soon as air hits you, it's time.
Yeah, it's bad. It's real. It's real. So, what'd you think about the protest a couple weeks ago at the Capitol?
Is that what it was?
Or whatever,
a riot.
Whatever you want to call it.
It was a riot. Let's go ahead and call a spade a spade.
Okay.
It was a riot once they started going in. Oh, yeah. I think it was very indicative of the term, the chicken's coming home to roost. I think for a long time, a great portion of America has ignored our pleas and what we're saying, like, these people are dangerous. There is a sect of these people. They are infiltrating every aspect of life, and we see it affecting us because it's not affecting you. You don't seem to care, but this will boil over. And that's what I think it was. I think it was crazy. I think if it was, as somebody who has protested more times than she can count and has seen numerous occasions of abuse, tear gas, rubber bullets, all kinds of stuff when children are there, it was appalling.
Yeah.
Not that I didn't think it could happen because it made sense, but it was sickening because I know what does happen for nothing. For nothing.
Right.
I think it was an
inside
inside job.
Because I got tear gas this time, or last summer too.
It's crazy. It's insane.
So, yeah.
It's insane. So, I felt like it was kind of an inside job, just the way it went. And I think it's time for people to really come to terms with things that they've accepted, cognitive dissonance they've had, turning the other cheek. Like, you can't heal what you don't reveal. I'm glad it's being put all out there. I am. I'm glad, because people need to see what it is for what it is. You know what I'm saying? I'm tired of everybody blaming everything on Antifa. So tired of that shit. Yeah. But yeah, it's a little crazy. I think tomorrow's going to be crazy. I think that the rest of this week's going to be a little crazy.
Well, and the right blaming everything on Antifa is like if the left blames everything on QAnon, because those 400,000 people, however many it was, that did that. That's not just from one messenger chat. You know what I mean? It's not just from one group. So there's a lot of things that fell into that. So
that's why I said the chicken's coming home to roost, because what that is systemic. That is systemic pandering, systemic coddling. the fact that they even thought that it was sweet to do that shows you where the state of some people in this country are and
fucking
why
psychotic.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And was appalled when they got pulled off the plane.
Yeah.
Like, how dare you?
Mm-hmm.
You know, but if it was me with other people who look like me, and even maybe some white people, because this summer they showed us they don't care if you're with us, then you're one of us. You know what I'm saying? They don't run you over or whatever. Or imagine if all those people were Muslims, they wouldn't even made it to the steps.
God.
So if it, think of it this way.
Yeah.
If somebody pointed this out to me, which is so prolific. So if it was planned that Black Lives Matter was going to do that, do you know what would have happened? There would have been so many people who look from that side who just ran up in that house. Up in the Capitol. They would have came strapped with guns to protect the Capitol because patriotism, right? Because America, they would have did that, and they would have been allowed to do that. We're at a position in this country that even though they were doing that, if a whole bunch of Black, Muslim, Mexican, whatever, got together and said, no, we're going to go up there and protect the Capitol, and came up there strapped, I cannot confidently say that would have been allowed.
Right.
I, in fact, think that they would have been abused. They would have had force used against them. That's the state we're at in America.
So do you think this is going to roll over into Wednesday?
Oh,
They're talking about armed protests at the Capitol, state capitals, and whatnot.
I think it's going to roll over, but not to the extent that they originally intended, because those people are scary. Not scary like we're scared of them. I'm talking about scary like they got bitch in their blood, really, when you really think about it. They've never really been challenged, a lot of them. So that's why they were having total breakdowns when they were being held accountable.
Right. Well, the group that did that,
I think they're scared.
Yeah, it was very entitled.
Very.
Temper tantrum behavior.
But now that they're losing jobs, now that they're being put on no-fly lists, I think we're going to see a lot less people.
Right.
They're not really about that life.
Reality's set in a little bit.
They're not. I don't think they're really. There may be some extremes, but I don't think the majority of those people. I think it was more of like Lord of the Flies cult mentality, like going in there.
Right. God, I hated that fucking book.
Crazy.
I didn't like that book.
I don't like that book either.
It was very anticlimactic. It just the ending was very sudden. I guess, but that was like
kind of like the climax.
Seventh to last chapter.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, it's been a long time. But I respect that you read. I love to read.
What's your favorite book?
My favorite book of all time is The Coldest One. I know, I get excited.
Oh, you're like...
I love books.
Turn like a 13-year-old girl.
The Coldest Winter Ever by Sister Souljah is my favorite book.
Okay. What's it about?
It's about a girl whose father is like in the game, and she's the daughter of like a drug kingpin.
Okay.
It's a cult classic type of book, and now the new one is coming out in April. Outside of that, my favorite book is Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. And that's really about a woman who is living her life trying to not fit into society's standards of what a woman should be and the box she fits in, and she lives her life free. And then she meets this dude, and he dies. But
I can see how that book has inspired you, though. Up until the last thing that you said.
And I read a lot of political books, like revolutionary books, Black Panthers, autobiography of Malcolm X, those type of books.
I'm actually reading the autobiography of Dick Gregory right now.
That is dope. I've never read that, but you got it. Definitely let me know how that is, and that will be on my list. Because Dick Gregory is one of the most...
Very iconic. Very funny.
He's like complicated, but in a good way.
Mm-hmm. Also a huge activist. So
Huge
I feel like
activist, very funny. And really, I don't mean to, it's nothing on him, but when me and my sister want to like laugh, we go look up old like Dick Gregory interviews, recent though, right before he passed, because he was that old man who didn't give a fuck, like he didn't take no shit, and he would be like, huh? Like yelling at the interviewer. Have you ever seen them? If not,
no, I know what you're in.
They're hilarious. And he'd be like, well, they sent a light beam through the window or whatever, because he likes conspiracies or whatever. And they'd be like, what? He'd be like, are you listening to me? You're not hearing that? He would like yell at them, and it's hilarious. So
I think there's some interviews out there of him and, I want to say there's a video out there of him and Killer Mike.
Probably. On panels and stuff.
Yeah.
But he sunned anybody. I don't care who the person was talking to him. If he said something and he thought you were not getting it, he'd call you a dumbass in a minute. Like, I mean, it's just... You know how old people get old and they don't care anymore?
Yeah, they lose that filter.
Yeah, he was definitely at that point, and I just can't get enough of those videos.
You get old, you start turning back a little kid, you lose your filter, you start shitting your pants.
He does not care.
You forget what colors are.
I'm never going to shit my pants.
Okay.
I'm not.
You're gonna... Okay. I believe in you.
I'm looking at these comments like...
Are they good?
Octavia, what's up? She said that
Hey, Octavia.
Coldest Winter Ever is her favorite book. And Monica said Mona is one of the most real people you will ever meet. She is kind, intelligent, and has a good juju.
Okay.
It's called sauce.
The sauce?
She calls it juju. I call it sauce, but yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
So when I asked you to do my podcast last Sunday, I didn't realize that this Monday was Martin Luther King Day.
Yep.
So when I realized that, I was like, okay, cool, great. So I have an African American guest on my podcast.
You planned it, but it's okay.
I didn't plan it that way. I really didn't. It happened by chance.
So do you feel like good, like that you have somebody black on MLK?
I felt like it was a good omen. Yeah, definitely. Like
I thought it too.
Things aligned.
And I'm like an activist and
yeah, the stars aligned.
Yeah.
I didn't even. Think
I'm more
about that
Malcolm
too.
than Martin, but I respect Martin.
But when Malcolm got back from Mecca, he was a lot more chilled out before they killed him.
I'm more Malcolm in that way. But Malcolm was still about protecting yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, you mean as far as like...
Yeah. Malcolm, when he got back from Mecca, he realized that he had been taught that racism, like all that stuff he was being taught he was being controlled, and like hating other people just for their race wasn't right.
Right.
But he still was about it. Like, you know what I'm saying, fighting for good.
For gun rights and stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was big with the NRA and stuff. He was big for like gun rights and for black people owning guns and firearms.
Yes, because it's supposed to be our right.
Yeah.
But if you study the Black Panthers, as soon as they started exercising that right, because the Black Panthers was started to police our own neighborhoods because the police were being so brutal in the neighborhoods. But as soon as they started, then they changed the laws.
And then they stormed the California state capitol. That probably fucked things up a little bit.
But they changed laws, and they started infiltrating before that. They did. They tried to pick that thing apart. And my favorite activist of all time is Fred Hampton, and they're making a movie about him right now. I'm so excited.
I've never heard of Fred Hampton.
Fred Hampton is hands down my favorite activist of all time. He was a young Black Panther. His speeches today still make so much sense. He started the White Panther Party as well. Most people don't know there was a White Panther Party, but there was. But he understood that the root of the problems here in America was capitalism.
Right.
So they were keeping black people, white people, poor, fighting, and making us thinking it was about race when it really wasn't. It was about classism.
Yeah, it's class, yep.
So he went into poor areas and started setting up Black Panther Party program system. So things we have today, like WIC, that were started by him and the Black Panthers. And then he went to poor white neighborhoods and made them organize. And that's why he was murdered, really. But he was murdered while sleeping in his bed. He was shot many times. But there's a movie right now being made by my favorite director, Ryan Coogler, and it's starring the guy from Get Out. Okay. Well, the two guys from Get Out, the one who like the camera went crazy, and the main guy, and he's playing Fred Hampton, and then the other guy's playing the guy who infiltrated and like, because they sent somebody to set him up. You know how it goes.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. So is there any messages you want to get across today on MLK Day? Is there anything any plans?
I don't have any plans besides being on This Is Not a Scottcast today. But the message I want to get across, we are at a very intricate place in our thinking where it could be very easy being overwhelmed with so much going on in the world to just go back to ignoring what's going on. But I think things are waking everyone up. Everyone needs to check themselves. Everyone. Check your heart, check everything, and stay on the right side of history. You know in your gut, like you have it in your gut, what's right and what's wrong. Sometimes you're not going to see eye to eye on certain things, of course, you know what I'm saying? Because we're not a monolith. But for the most part, I believe in my soul that everyone has that feeling of right and wrong. It's just easier to choose wrong if the masses are choosing wrong. I've never been cut from that cloth, and I hope that you guys will come to the other cloth as well.
Well said. Very well said.
Thank you.
You're intelligent.
I try. Comes light. But I can get ratchet too. You gotta get you somebody who can do both. I can do it all.
I can do both too.
Can you?
I like to use the podcast as a format to show people that I'm not just a acid-taking hippie. That I can formulate a long-winded thought.
When's the last time you took acid?
Saturday night.
Okay, so can you tell me what happened?
What do you mean what happened?
As an adult, what happens on acid? That's why I'm scared. I feel like our brains have so much information now. It's different when you're young. You're like, 7 period.
Are you like scared
McDonald's.
you're gonna take acid and you're gonna start connecting too many dots and you're gonna get overwhelmed by like the...
I'm afraid I'm gonna end up in the over-under in Stranger Things or something. I really do.
Upside down?
Yeah, upside down. Whatever it's called. Look, you can tell I'm a season away. I haven't watched it in a while, but...
What's the over-under on how many shots you put in that?
I think I put...
The over-under's 3. What's your over-under, EK?
On what?
How many shots she put in her drink? It's 3 over-under.
I didn't even put shots. I just, I just had to get it right.
You're right. B12 shots,
Tequila.
everybody. No, I thought that was B12. No.
Oh, yeah, B12.
B12. Cheers.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay.
Dude, thanks for coming on, man. I'm excited for you to start doing your podcast again. I know you're taking a couple weeks off to get everything updated.
I'm taking a break until, I think it's February 4th or 7th, whatever that Sunday is, just to get some things scheduled, get everything up to, because you know how hard it is to, like...
It's a pain in the ass sometimes.
The administrative stuff, yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm just getting caught up on that. I got so much going on right now.
So Black History Month, you'll be back in full effect.
You know what's funny? How do you notice all these things and I don't even think about it?
Because February came up and I was like, I wonder if I could book Mona again.
You can. You can.
Well, you're the first of a series of podcasts I'm about to do with everybody that does podcasts here at the studio.
Oh, so that's your intention. I saw that on the post, how you wrote that.
So I thought about that the other night. When I asked you, I was like, well, I'll just keep doing other people from the studio. So, yep. So next week I'm doing Nick. He does the Below the Deck.
Yeah, I did his podcast.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Yeah, Nick's cool as shit.
He was my first ever podcast that I was a guest on. Yeah.
Really? Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
Nick's cool. How is he?
He's good.
I've seen him in a while.
Yeah, he's good.
Corona shut down everything, and I feel like I don't see people anymore.
Yeah. It's sad. I hope things get normalized soon.
I do too.
You're gonna get the vaccine? You conspiracy theorist?
One of my favorite books is a book called Medical Apartheid. I doubt I'll get the
Medical
vaccine.
Apartheid.
Yeah.
I want to read that.
You should.
I want to check that out.
Yeah, no.
My favorite book is Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
I love that movie. I've never read the book.
It's my favorite movie too.
And that makes sense that that's your favorite movie.
Yeah.
When I first saw that movie, I was like, what the hell?
It's a good time.
No, it's one of those movies where like you put it on, you're like, yeah, I gotta be high for this. I can't just watch it like normal. But I know in the movie they're not smoking bud. They're in a whole.
Oh yeah, they're in a hole everywhere.
Yes.
A little bit of everything. Cocktail. Anything else you want to get across to the people before we're done? Any other shout outs or promotions or anything like that?
Make sure y'all follow SinLiving_ on Instagram. We have some fun and exciting things about to happen and rolling out soon, so please follow that. My salon is Salon Irie Hair, and my podcast is the Dope Dichotomy Podcast. Please, 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 please follow me. All that good stuff. My regular Instagram page is This Is Mona Brown because, yeah, it's Mona Brown.
Yeah. Thanks for doing the podcast, dude. I appreciate
you. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yep. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks, EK.